Hey there, this is Natalie, and with Shield Hero Season 2 now airing, I want to talk about Naofumi's new party member, Rishia Ivyred. She joined the Shield Heroes party at the end of the first season, and in Season 2 Episode 1, we got to see a bit more about her relationship with Itsuki the bow hero and his party. But Season 2 seems to be speeding through the start of the new Spirit Tortoise arc and leaving out quite large sections from the light novels. That included things like training and proper introductions for some of the characters we'll be seeing a lot more of. I can't really comment on whether this information will be incorporated in different ways as the season goes on, or whether the choice to skip pretty much straight to the meat of the arc in the anime will end up being a good one until we've had some more episodes to go on. But for now, I just wanted to give some more information about characters, starting with Rishia, to fill in some of the gaps left by skipped content. I will be talking about Rishia's personality and general role in the party in terms of things that you'll see properly later in the story, just so you can get more of a sense of why she's an interesting new addition to the cast. But I'll be keeping things vague enough not to spoil any future plot points or developments. So this video is safe to watch if you're anime only and avoiding any Shield Hero light novel spoilers. And before I get started, please consider subscribing if you want more Shield Hero content, as I'll be making plenty of videos about both the anime and light novels throughout Season 2, similar to my existing content about Mushoku Tensei and Re:Zero. So, Rishia was originally a member of Itsuki's party, and in Season 1 we saw that she was helpful in the fight against Glass, both bringing Melty over to help and using magic to launch the barrels of alcohol that Naofumi was able to use to incapacitate Glass at the end of the fight. But after the fight, we then saw Filo rescuing Rishia after she tried to drown herself because she'd been kicked out of the bow hero's party. Naofumi then said she could join his party and train with them. He'd been wanting to add some new party members anyway, and he could sympathise with her being set up and betrayed by the rest of Itsuki's party because he of course was framed at the start of Season 1. In Season 2 Episode 1, we see that the bow hero's party actually viewed Rishia as weak and pretty useless, but she still looks up to Itsuki anyway. It is somewhat played for laughs that she wants to wear the penguin costume because people can't tell if she looks depressed that way, and her attempt to drown herself in Season 1, while it was shown, was also kind of downplayed, more as her being dramatic than as genuinely miserable as she is about being rejected by Itsuki and his team. In the novels, this was actually a bigger storyline, and involved Motoyasu, the spear hero, asking Naofumi to intervene and help Rishia, because she tried to confide in him at first, and despite always being surrounded by women, he isn't comfortable around girls who are upset. This may have something to do with the fact Motoyasu was actually murdered by a woman who was angry with him before he was isekai'd here. Through Naofumi getting involved, we find out quite a lot about how the bow hero runs his team, and about how Rishia fit into things. The bow hero's team pretty much worship him, and subscribe to the strange form of justice he's always talking about. I'll do a video all about Itsuki himself and his personality later, so I won't go too into that here, but as we did see in Season 1, he likes to think of himself as a kind of secret vigilante fighting for justice, and his party members really buy into this, including Rishia. Rishia had joined the party after Itsuki had rescued her from a situation involving corrupt nobles. She is the daughter of a noble family who were, to cut a long story short, being victimised and coerced into basically having to give Rishia to a corrupt neighbouring lord. After Itsuki helped her, she decided to follow him rather than staying with her family. But as the newest member of the team, she was basically treated as a lackey by the rest of the party. Rishia also has a timid nature, and due to her particular, let's call it character build, which I'll come to in a minute, she also seemed extremely weak to Itsuki and the others. The party had become quite competitive due to the hierarchical nature it had taken on, and Rishia was definitely at the bottom of the pecking order. Naofumi suspects that when she was the only useful one in the party during the unexpected battle with Glass, the others felt it was time to get rid of her, and framed her for breaking an important object. Itsuki himself also had little confidence in Rishia and wanted her out of the party anyway. Naofumi is disgusted by how Itsuki and his party operate, and so he's determined to help Rishia become strong. Plus, of course, he needs more people in his own faction anyway, so her joining his party makes sense. She agrees to form a slave contract with him because he has skills associated with his shield that enhance the development of people who count as his slaves. In the light novels, Keel, the demi-human friend of Raphtalia, who they rescued in Season 1, and who has been shown in the village in Season 2, also becomes Naofumi's slave at the same time, in order to gain the same advantages. But since Keel doesn't really do much in the Spirit Tortoise arc, they seem to have just left that out in the anime. But what they also left out was a lot of the interaction between Rishia and the old lady, who is shown in Season 2 Episode 1 as being involved in training Naofumi's people, but isn't really explained. The old lady, who is the same one we saw Naofumi give medicine to and who later helped out in the wave, is not only a strong former adventurer, but she's a master of an important in-world martial art called Hengen Muso. Hengen Muso is a kind of method that uses life force and is difficult to master, but if someone has a talent for it and trains in it, they can apply it to whatever kind of fighting style they use. So whether they fight with weapons or magic, whatever range they usually fight at, whatever weapon they specialise in using, Hengen Muso is beneficial. In the light novels, Naofumi doesn't actually become lord of the territory the village is in until quite a lot later, and so the training he and his team do before the Spirit Tortoise adventure is actually all done at the Queen's Castle in Melromark, though the characters involved are the same. The Queen arranged for the old lady to come and work with all of the heroes, not just Naofumi's party, as well as arranging for a knight called Eclair, who was shown briefly as being at the village in Season 2 Episode 1, but who wasn't mentioned or explained at all, to help them train. The bow, sword and spear heroes are disinterested and slack off in their training, before disappearing off when the Spirit Tortoise appears, as we saw them do in Season 2 Episode 1. But Naofumi's team all train hard with these masters. Rishia is said by the old lady to have an incredible talent for Hengen Muso, which surprises Naofumi because she seems clumsy, and seems more like someone who is book smart than useful in combat. This is not the only thing that makes Naofumi suspect that Rishia has some hidden depths. When he views her stats, he's surprised to see that she's basically a jack of all trades and master of none. Her stats are lower than he'd expect for her level, but she has decent stats for everything, unlike his more specialised companions like Raphtalia. Her stats don't seem to increase normally as she levels up either, which makes him think she may be someone who will, at some point, have some kind of breakthrough, so her stats may plateau for a long time, then see a fast growth after breaking through a particular milestone. Rishia is also very adept at things like research and learning, and can do things like learning to read whole new languages in a matter of days. This means she's a convenient character when it comes to researching legends and other information that may help Naofumi and the others get to the bottom of the various mysteries in this world. But it also makes Naofumi wonder if Rishia has some hidden stats that he can't see, that are actually extremely high. Still, despite her high potential, Rishia can be a frustrating team member for Naofumi. She can be so timid at times that even something like someone in the party raising their voice during a discussion seemed to freak her out, which Naofumi finds annoying. We see hints of this already in him getting annoyed with the little "fweh" sound that she has a tendency to make all the time. Plus, there is her unwavering belief in the bow hero, who Naofumi thinks is an idiot, which also prevents them from becoming as close as he is with Raphtalia or Filo, even when he and Rishia have to deal with some circumstances on their own together, without the other members of the party. Rishia can be someone he can rely on at certain times, and who he can respect, but the dynamic between them is very different to what we see with most people who join Naofumi throughout the series, and that does keep her from feeling like another waifu to add to the pile as the story goes on. I won't spoil anything about what she may or may not become capable of in future arcs, or where things go in terms of her conflict with the Bow Heroes party, but I will say that Rishia ends up being a very interesting member of the cast, and one I think anime-only fans will enjoy watching throughout the next seasons. But what do you guys think about Rishia? And if you're a light novel reader, what do you think about the changes to her introduction made for the anime? Let me know in the comments, though as this is a spoiler-free video, please put a spoiler warning and some space before discussing any light novel spoilers in the comments section. Thank you as always to my supporters on Patreon, and to everyone who helps me out by subscribing to my channel and watching my videos. Thanks for watching this one, and I hope to see you again very soon.